I'm Justin Davis, and today you're going to learn how to bind your receiver.
Hey guys, I'm Rebecca. You have a chance to win this DJI FPV drone, the case, and 2 batteries. We're gonna choose one of the next 100,000 subscribers to be our lucky winner. So please subscribe, good luck, and happy FPV.
What's up, FPV pilots? Welcome back to the channel. Today, I'm gonna help you out with 2 different types of receivers. If this is your first time ever binding a receiver, this video is gonna be great for you. We're gonna talk about Crossfire binding today, TBS Crossfire Nano, as well as an r-xsr from Frsky, or otherwise known as Frsky. So let's get started with the first of 2 of the most popular receivers out there in the FPV hobby, TBS Crossfire. Now, step number 1, before you get to binding any type of receiver in the FPV hobby, it's imperative that you don't fry your quad the first time you touch it with something to try and bind up your receiver. I recommend using a bamboo skewer. Most of the other pilots out there usually keep one of these in their toolbox, and we use it religiously. You don't really want to get out there and play the game of operation with a metal tool, a screwdriver, a type of driver, or anything to try to get to your bind button. It's just it's not worth the risk. So what I do to try to avoid any type of shorts or problems on the quad when I'm binding up my receiver is always using my trusty friend, the bamboo skewer. Now, step number 1 of binding any TBS Crossfire module to your RX is to turn on external module. So if you don't have the external module turned on inside the model menu, this will not show you any LED display there, or it also will not show you any Crossfire status, which is right here. So go ahead and turn on your radio, and I'm assuming that you have already turned your external antenna on. Once you do that, you will see that this little guy starts to load up. If it does not, we can go in and turn it on, and I can show you that real quick, but it looks like we are already there. And now I do see a status, so it's looking for an RX. Next thing you're going to do is go into the model menu, and I'm just going to show you this real quick. We're going to scroll over to all the way down, actually. So see that I went to the left here and I scrolled all the way down, and you can see external RF right there is set to CRSF. Make sure that is set, and now you can go ahead and start the bind process. You want to take off your props first, and don't do like me today in this video by leaving my props on. Very dangerous to leave your props on. Rule number 1 when binding any quad is always take the props off. Now we're going to go ahead and put the Crossfire module into bind mode. Just push down the joystick and hold it for a moment, and it will take you to XF transmitter. Go ahead and click that, push down, and now we see bind at the very top of that menu. Let's push bind here, and now it's in bind status. So now we can go ahead and plug in the quad. Now when you plug in the quad, you should see a red light blinking, and it might be already binding. If not, you can take your bamboo skewer and start that bind process by pressing it once. The receiver already sees the module, and the module is asking me if I want to update. And at this point, you're going to scroll over to yes and say update Nano RX. And now you're going to see that your receiver starts to blink during this update process. It'll also show you the percentage of the update on the receiver. And now your receiver is updating, and it should go green once it's finished with this process. And now the process is almost done. We're at 88, 90%, 91, 92, 93. And it really only takes about a minute for this process to 2 minutes to complete. In the bind process, you can see that it is blinking. And if you're using tracer, it should go green. This little status bar right here should turn into a green bar. And it should be yellow while it's binding. Now it says binding OK, and now we have a green status on the receiver. You can check this on the Crossfire module by going back to the main menu. Now you should see the link status is running on the Crossfire module, or that your status bar here is green and you have a solid light on your receiver. Now we're going to bind up the r-xsr receiver from Frsky. It's very similar to the XM Plus. If you've never done it, this is a really simple tutorial for you to be able to do that. So we're going to go ahead into the model menu, press your model menu, and scroll to the left. That'll take you all the way to the bottom of the menu, so you don't have to scroll all the way down. I usually do that to get to my external and internal RF. Make sure that external RF is turned off We just set up Crossfire, so we're going to go ahead and turn external RF off. So that makes the internal RF ready, and we want to select Frsky D16 here for this receiver. And the r-xsr is not super complicated. Some people have problems with it, but if you do this setup, it should bind up right correctly. Okay, so let's go ahead down to the bind button here, and we can put it into bind mode by just simply pressing on the jog wheel, making that selection, and then you're going to start hearing your radio beep. For OpenTX or EdgeTX, it's going to look pretty similar inside your radio menu setup, so hopefully this helps you out. Now let's go ahead and grab our bamboo skewer and our battery and bind up the receiver. Now this is a pretty quick process, and you might have to do this a few times for this to take, but you're going to watch your LED status on your RX to make sure that you see a green light. So we're going to hold down the button first, and then we're going to plug in the quad. So I'm going to go ahead and start the bind process and quickly grab the battery and plug it in, and it should only take a moment to bind. These are super quick to bind, and now it should be bound, and I can unplug everything, and now I can take my trusty LiPo again. You can plug it in again and check the LED status to make sure that we are indeed bound up. So we do see a green light just under there, and you are now bound. All right, guys, binding doesn't have to be super painful. If you're using a Frsky receiver, the r-xsr is pretty popular. Also, the XM Plus is another very popular one in the FPV hobby. Those are both super simple. You're going to bind them up in S-Bus mode. You have to make sure that S-Bus is selected inside Betaflight, serial RX, and then select S-Bus in the configuration page. And then you're also, to get your sticks moving and your channel maps moving, and I said channel maps, make sure that you go into the channel maps and see that your bars are moving back and forth. If they're not, it means that you have to go to the ports and select the correct port. Now, if you don't have the selected correct port, and that means, say, RX1 on your flight controller, if you're building your very first drone, RX1, RX2, that would be port 1, port 2, and you have to make sure that you have serial RX turned on inside the ports tab to activate that S-Bus channel on that particular port. All right, are you confused yet? So hopefully this information sort of gets easier for you over the course of the years of watching my channel and how we explain things to you. So it is a simple process, but this is step one, just getting your receiver bound. Now you're going to go to Betaflight and you're going to hook up your quad to the USB cable, and you're going to check out your configuration page and your ports page. And then also, lastly, go to your receiver page, your radio page, to see if those channel map bars are moving. When you move your sticks, you should see the happy bars moving back and forth. Check all your stick directions and everything like that to make sure everything looks correct for your setup. Usually with Frsky, it's set up as AETR. With Crossfire, it's going to be different. So make sure that you're not switching up Crossfire to the Frsky setup in your radio. So things can get pretty complicated, but we're trying to keep it really simple here on the channel. So if you want to see more tutorials and learn how to fly FPV, this is the spot. Over 8 years running on YouTube, and I'm continuously updating these videos for you guys, making new reviews, tutorials, how-tos, and all the fun stuff in the FPV hobby. So I appreciate you, and thanks for watching my channel. I'm Justin Davis. Please do subscribe for more tutorials and reviews, guys. Smash that like button on this video if it helped you out. Make a comment as well. If you need help, the guys in the community will be sure to help you. I'll see you on the next one.